beautiful day, Roosevelt Field, where the Norristown Eagles welcome the Central Bucks East Patriots. It's going to be a great day. We've had some inclement weather the past couple weeks, but tonight we certainly won't have that as a factor as we see the Norristown, I believe it's the defense being introduced currently.
Yes.
And we'll take this opportunity to familiarize you guys with the lineups. Joining me this afternoon, Greg Fry. Nice to have you here, Greg, doing color today.
Nice to have you here.
Why don't you tip the fans off? Let us know who's going to be starting for CB East on offense.
All right, for the CB East offense today, led by quarterback Steve Kreider, number 12. Star running back Brian Scott, who's already committed to Penn State, number 32. Look for a lot of him today. And number 37, Phil Lang. On that offensive line, we got Jim Kokis, Chris Butts, Steve Gonzalez, Chris Young, and Joe Yerkes. The two receivers are Jason Ware and Rob Linders, and the tight end is Troy Lavinia.
All right, and they'll be matching up against the Norristown defense of Mike Wilson, Doug White, Mike Winyard, Ebo Cobbled, James Davis, Troy Ellis, Jamil Butler, Darrell Johnson, Audley Stewart, and Troy Swittenberg. And Trey Hadrick will join them in the secondary. Let's go back to Greg. Let us know who's going to be on offense for Norristown today.
And once again, with a lot of those two-way players, but one of the biggest ones isn't. Number 13, quarterback Chris Blake, having an outstanding year. Also having an absolutely superb year, even better than last year. Number 1, Troy Swittenberg, with Darrell Johnson in the backfield. Across that front line, we have Doug White, number 78, Yaboa Kabold, number 66, Mike Ginyard, number 71, James Davis, number 33, and Troy Ellis, number 51. The tight end is Josh Kinlock, number 82, and the wide receivers are Damian Solomon, number 2, and Trey Hadrick, number 9.
Opposite them, lining up for Central Bucks East, will be defensive end Troy Lewinta, number 42, Gary Conover, number 74, will be a defensive tackle. Joined on the defensive line will be Frank Corda, number 65. Jake Walker, number 3, another DN. Phil Lang returning, number 37. He looks like he'll be going both ways. Jeremy Mitchell, number 34, middle linebacker. Anthony Green, another linebacker, number 55 for CB East. The secondary today will consist of Mike Taylor, number 39. Ryan Callahan, 7. Nick Malors, number 43. Once again, Brian Scott. Greg mentioned on his way to Penn State, number 32. Keep your eye on him. He's an impact player on both sides of the ball. And then punting for East today will be Jake Walker, number 3. So the toss is over. East is going to be able to receive the ball, start on offense. Again, as I mentioned today, the weather is beautiful, Greg. What do you expect to see from Norristown, who's having an unbelievable season? One of these outstanding Suburban 1 League teams is going to have to walk away here with a loss, and it's definitely going to impact the playoff ramifications this year.
Well, you're right, John. Norristown obviously having a great year. That only loss coming to CB West here, a heartbreaker after they played so well, and that 28-13 score did not indicate how well they played that game. Look from Norristown today. Look for a lot of Chris Blake, a lot of passing the ball. They have 4 big receivers that they use a lot. Watch to see that to try and knock off the undefeated CB's Patriots. And, of course, look for number 1, Troy Swittenberg. He is having an outstanding year, folks. Just absolutely amazing to watch him run.
Swittenberg's definitely a name that you see week after week in the standings. I know he was out one week and was filled in for by Audley Stewart quite capably, so they've got a nice stable of running backs back there. But why don't you run down some of the stats that Swittenberg's accumulated so far this year, Greg?
Well, Troy Swittenberg, even missing one game, 119 carries, 755 yards, and 10 touchdowns all on the ground. So he is a dangerous threat at every team that comes in here or has Norristown come to their stadium, always worrying about Troy Swittenberg. But, of course, you mentioned with Audley Stewart filling in for him that one game, Audley Stewart made a big name for himself in this Suburban 1 League. For the year, Audley Stewart, 34 carries, 326 yards, 4 touchdowns. So, folks, look for a lot of mix-ups today. Look for just everybody getting the ball. This is the first time we may see this even more diversified Norristown offense.
I've had an opportunity to see a number of teams this year doing games for Suburban KOL, and Chris Blake is one of the names that comes up time and time again as a force to be reckoned with at the quarterback spot. Norristown is blessed again at quarterback, and in the backfield they're an accomplished team, and also a testament to that offensive line was the fact that missing Swittenberg, Audley Stewart's able to step in and pick up the slack. So that's a huge testament to this Norristown offensive line.
Well, that offensive line is so experienced. You have returning guys in Doug White, Yaboa Kabold, Mike Ginyard, James Davis doing an absolutely fantastic job this year, and Troy Ellis, just absolutely great line, and they're doing it on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. this Norristown team is even more experienced than last year, and we said last year, you know, these guys are going to be a force to be reckoned with, and it's coming true this year.
Well, speaking of a force, that line up front is definitely a force. You're looking at 305, 250, 245, and 210 as the weights across that line. And Troy Ellis checks in at $180. So you've definitely got some nice size up there as Norristown lines up for the opening kickoff.
And Kevin Quaglia is going to do the kicking off for the Norristown Eagles. We've seen him do a lot of the kickoffs, and Matt Spicko kick a lot of the extra points this year.
Kind of a short kick, arrives at midfield. Scott is in position to return it as it bounces through his legs. He does manage to pick it up pretty clean. Tries to head to the corner, and it gets pushed out of bounds right around the 15-yard line in East Territory. Good job by the special teams of Norristown, and a good way to get this homecoming crowd fired up immediately.
Well, John, this special teams this year, not a lot of guys that we've mentioned this year, but they have done a fantastic job allowing no returns this year, pinning defenses in, or pinning offenses in, excuse me, and once again we see it there as CBE starting from the 15-yard line.
Central Bucks East offense lining up. They definitely have their work cut out for them if they're going to remain defeated up against this tough Norristown squad. The give is up the middle. Looks like a pickup of about 5 for Brian Scott. I'm sure we'll be calling his name out quite often this afternoon.
You always hate to see a guy that's already committed to a college in his senior year. This guy is absolutely amazing. We saw him 2 years ago here, and he wasn't, you know, nobody was really saying a lot about him, but everybody said he's got potential and watch for him as he comes along. And now this is his senior year, and he is absolutely amazing, one of the most feared running backs in all of Pennsylvania. He and
Swittenberg will be a great matchup. It'll be interesting to see who leaves this field with more yards today. And, of course, Brian Scott's brother, Brandon Scott, is a sophomore on this team, so they've got some backs for the years to come as the quarterback, Kreider, finds an opening, does a great job flying and leaping to the 35-yard line of East for a big pickup and a first down.
And great job of selling that there by the CB East offense.
Nice offense really clicks, not only when Scott gets the ball, but also, very importantly, when he doesn't get the ball. As a matter of fact, it comes in handy every week. You'll find that a lot of the defenses like to key on Brian Scott, and then they get themselves in trouble because Kreider's a pretty accomplished runner himself.
Well, last week we had the example of Brian Scott, the fake handoff to him, and Steve Kreider ran in for a touchdown. So Norristown got to watch that.
One of two Kreider touchdowns from last week. We've got the wingback in motion. The give is up the middle from the fullback spot. Brian Scott grabs the ball. Looks like he rumbles up for about 2 or 3 yards. Following that East offensive line that we had introduced earlier. A lot of those guys up front will be pushing against that sizable Norristown line that we had mentioned.
This is not a big line for CB East. Biggest guy on the line at 280, but we got 280, 265, 240, 230, and 225. So a line that Norristown can definitely do something against.
They do match up nicely. We've got a slot to the near side, open right, single back. Phil Lang, the fullback, is back this week. We've got kind of a counter play to Scott. He gets wrapped up very quickly in the backfield by number 33, Yabo Kabold. Does a great job. I'm sorry, that was James Davis.
James Davis, an absolutely great job of not committing on that play. Oftentimes you'll see a lot of guys just follow the fake, and Brian Scott would have just gone around the outside, but it's always one man's job just to stay right with that ball and make sure that you don't bite on that fake.
He stays at home and is responsible for pushing East back to their line of scrimmage here. We've got 3rd and about 10. Once again, they're lining up in that single back set. They've got a trips right to the wide side. Kreider drops back, looking downfield. He's got a lot of time and a receiver open, number 26, Jason Ware, 6'3" target, nice size guy to throw to, and he's mixed it up a little bit. And Kreider has plenty of time, and he's able to successfully get the ball downfield for a first down. Greg,
you're right, John. A lot of time for quarterback Steve Kreider. He was looking for Jason Ware there, and he found him sitting in a pocket of 4 Norristown defenders. This Norristown secondary, very athletic. It's going to be hard to pass against them, but he found a nice pocket right there.
Overloading the side with the trips in the last play. This time they're going to motion into a slot position. Kreider once again looks to the air. They've got a 2-man pattern. Scrambles out of it after he senses pressure. Finds about a 4-yard gain waiting for him at the end of that, and a host of Eagles wrapping him up for the tackle.
Mike Wilson was coming on that play. He saw Steve Kreider, and Steve Kreider definitely saw the eyes of Mike Wilson, and Phil Lang did a nice job to get over there and just get something on him just to push him out of the way, open up that run for Steve Creeder.
Well, they missed Phil Lang that last week. They did, as a matter of fact, have a nice job of stepping in by one of the other underclassmen for Central Bucks East, but Lang's expertise as a blocking fullback came in handy right there. Kreider comes back, runs the draw out of the eye. Scott spinning out for a first down. Gets into the open field, breaks into the secondary. Right now, East is on a roll, brought down by Mike Wilson. Well, number 15, and the Patriots right now are able to throw the ball a little bit, and they're establishing their running game early on.
Brian Scott, just all we've heard is size and speed, size and speed. He runs a 4.5 40, and a running back who's at 6'2", 205 is a dangerous running back, and Norristown's going to have a tough time handling that size today.
We're approaching the 8-minute mark of the first quarter. We've got 0-0 right now on the board. Scott in the backfield from the fullback spot, can't find a seam that time. Norristown defense does an outstanding job of closing the hole up. Nothing doing right there. I saw number 30 in there coming out of the pile. That's Jameel Butler, 6'2", 200-pound junior, doing a great job coming up at the bottom of the pile. 2nd and 10 right now for Central Bucks East. Kreider over the center. It's a tight formation. Once again, really, Scott's the only one in the backfield to give us to him. He's going to try to cut it up, switches field, finds the corner, cuts it inside. Pickup of about 6 or 7 yards for Scott. Does a good job. Looks like he earned most of those yards on his own.
And what a duel we had over there. We had a running back on a running back, Troy Swittenberg, trying to fight through somebody over there. Swittenberg, now a two-way player, playing cornerback this year. That's a nice tackle over there to stop the very big Brian Scott. And a great job stopping him from the first down.
Scott's a big guy to bring down, and he's a nightmare for anyone in the secondary for Norristown. 3rd and a short 5, I'll call it. 6:51 left in the first quarter. Central Bucks East right here in a key spot. They're at the 35-yard line in Norristown. Big 3rd down conversion. Kreider drops back, comes back across to the tight end, who found his way open and found a seam there in the linebacking area. That's number 42 for Central Bucks East, Troy Lavinia. Tight end, 6'2", 220. Nice size target once again. Kreider has a nice core of receivers with good size. The first reception we saw was brought in by a 6'3" guy, and their tight end Lavinia there is 6'2".
And all Troy Lavinia did there, just a little delay, and he turned around and gave him the ball. There were no linebackers, there were no safeties, there was nobody home. And Troy Lavinia with a nice run after the catch, getting the first down, and CB East moving the ball.
Tough to get those linebackers to stay disciplined and stay at home. East lines up in a slot right with an open left. Kreider, the snap looks a little funny. It's an automatic quarterback draw. Trying to push his way up there, and maybe they sense the weakness in that Norristown defense, but gain of about a yard. 2nd down and 9.
Appears it might have been a busted play there from CB East, and for a 6-0 team, not exactly what you figured you'd see a lot of, but this CB East team still is young, and they are overachieving this year.
Considered a Cinderella team in the league this year. Their schedule, in some respects, has kind of been soft, and they're ready to get into the meat of that schedule right now. After Norristown, they still have to face CB East, and they also have to face a tough North Penn squad. So East, in a lot of respects, has been untested this year. They come out again in that same formation, slot to the right, open to the near side. Kreider's dropping back. He's got an underneath pattern. Kreider just got rid of the ball. Really excellent coverage in the defensive backfield on the part of Norristown. Swittenberg just kind of sitting back and waiting on that pass by Kreider. 3rd and 9.
And John, that line is not getting to quarterback Steve Kreider as much as we've seen them get to other quarterbacks this year. CB East line doing a really nice job, giving them a lot of time to look around. Once again, we mentioned that Norristown secondary doing a fantastic job, and they will give their linemen time to get to the quarterback because they cover really well.
Trips to the near side. Single setback. Phil Lang. Kreider dropping back. 3-man pattern. That time, the defense did get back there, Greg. Nice penetration on the part of the defensive line.
That appeared to be number 33, James Davis, doing a really nice job getting to the quarterback.
Kreider also saw 300 pounds of Doug White in the backfield pretty quickly also, which I'm sure spooked him a little bit. 4th down and long.
All you got to do now is just force them to do something, force them to make a mistake.
Well, they're going to force him into a field goal situation right now. Number 5 for Central Bucks East. I'm sorry, that's number 53 rather for Central Bucks East. Tim Becker going to handle the kicking chores. The kick is blocked, picked up by a Patriot. Well, Norristown gets the turnover, and that was a big play on the part of the Eagles, preventing the Patriots from getting on the board.
And they are pumped. They got through that line. They were standing, and they pretty much took the ball off his foot. That's a great play by the Norristown defense. That's a pretty long kick, too, to be hitting in high school, so I don't know if he would have made that, but that's a great job by the Norristown defense. Now the Norristown offense can get onto the field and do what they do best, and that's the score.
He would have had to have converted about a 35 or 40-yarder, which is definitely a long kick for a high school kicker. It's a long kick for any kicker, actually. But Norristown takes over on about their own 20-yard line. We've got a pro formation. They immediately look like they're going to take to the air. Unfortunately, Chris Blake's pass to the near side is immediately nullified on a penalty. That was Damian Solomon on the near side. We've got a false start on the offense. They're going to march Norristown back.
You're right. That Norristown offense coming out passing, looking for number 2, Damian Solomon at the beginning. We've talked about the Norristown receivers the whole time. Damian Solomon at 6'2", 200. On the other side was James Edmonds, number 17. He's at 6'3", 185, so some really tall targets for Norristown. They're trying to open up that passing game today.
Well, they need to get this hometown crowd into it. They've got a nice packed side here in Roosevelt Field on the near side here in Norristown, Pennsylvania. The far side, which is mostly what you'll see on camera, is sparsely populated by the Central Bucks East Patriot backers as Blake reaches long into the backfield to give the ball to Swittenberg. Looks like they might have gotten a little bit closer to the original line of scrimmage. Wrapped up in the middle. Number 55 from Central Bucks East looks like he makes the wrap. Anthony Green, linebacker, 6'1", 220. He's a junior. Does a nice job handling Swittenberg. Second and a long 11 right now for the Norristown Eagles.
And folks, you're going to have to bear with us today. Usually we're used to night games and that scoreboard being lit up bright, but with that sun glare coming off of it, it's always tough to see. So you're going to have to bear with us today if we get some times and some scores wrong.
I'm not going to complain, though. The weather is gorgeous out here. It's a great day to be out at the game. Once again, they pump fake that original play. He lofts it up into the secondary. Picked off, number 7. He barely came down with it. That was Ryan Callahan in the secondary, a senior. Was poised enough to be able to tip the ball. And then he was able to bring it down, although it was intended for Damian Solomon, who turned into a D-back momentarily. Tried to break it up, was unsuccessful, but I like what Coach Grove has done on that play. He set it up on the first play and did a quick out pattern and then went back with a pump fake, and Blake tried to loft it downfield. Unfortunately, the coverage recovered too quickly.
It appeared that there might have been a little bit of the timing was off, because it looked like Damian Solomon kind of stopped a little bit. Then on the pump fake, and he never really got going again. By the time he got going, Ryan Callahan was 2 steps ahead of him. If Ryan Callahan was the receiver, that would have been a touchdown, but unfortunately he plays for CB East.
Yeah, East did a nice job recovering there. The hand is to Scott. Wrapped up real early, right at the line of scrimmage, brought down by a couple Patriots. I'm sorry, by a couple of Eagles.
Once again, that's Doug White getting through that line. He is just overpowering. It looks like he might have Jim Kokas over on that side, and that's going to be a tough job for him today.
Darrell Johnson also helping out on the stop there, big Brian Scott. Coach Green definitely is excited about this season. However, he wants to prevent any early talk of playoffs or league championship. East hasn't brought one home since 1979, the year of Scott Stankiewicz. They line up in the eye. The pitch is out to Scott. He looks like he's pulling up the pass. He lofts it downfield. He's got a man wide open. The ball, however, is tipped away and almost picked off on Norristown by Trey Hadrick, D-back, who's a junior. But a nice job there by Scott to pull up and throw the ball downfield. He tried to hit Rob Linders.
Well, a little bit of deception there from the Patriots. That's a good mix-up, you know. Your first drive, you were doing some good stuff. Maybe they're starting to key on you. Maybe they're starting to figure out what you're doing. So why not go to the air with your running back? You know, the guy you figure they're getting the ball, we got to stop him, and all of a sudden he pulls up and throws the ball. He had a man wide open, but a little bit underthrown.
Absolutely. We mentioned earlier on that Brian Scott is as much of a valuable decoy to this crew as he is an actual runner. Motion by the wingback, who ends up in a slot. Kreider, once again, plenty of time. However, one of the Eagles got his mitts on it. It is brought down, though, by one of the Patriots. Almost picked off.
No.
However, fourth down.
That pass was tipped at the line, and a great job by the Norristown defense. They saw that ball up in the air. There were 4 guys sprinting at it. I saw Trey Hadrick and I saw Jameel Butler sprinting after that ball. The CB East receiver got it first, but he was going nowhere after that.
Great job by the Norristown D-line to get their mitts up and deflect that pass to force the Patriots into a punting situation. Couple Eagles set back to receive a beautiful punt. Audley Stewart is going to return this one. He picks the ball up at about the 5. He tries to find the corner, breaks a couple tackles. He's still on his feet. He comes to the far sideline. He's still up there. The kicker's got to get involved in the tackle, and he's able to push the ball out to the 35-yard line.
Well, I was going to say that was a bad decision by Audley Stewart to catch that ball at the 2, but man, he got to the outside, and he turned it on. He had some great speed, beat a couple of guys over there. A little shake and bake, nice moves. Great run back by Audley Stewart.
Audley Stewart, an accomplished running back.
We've seen Audley Stewart, as we said, step in for Troy Swittenberg.
A couple weeks ago, accumulated over 200 yards in the backfield, so you know he's going to be dangerous also. Blake, pro-I formation. The handoff goes to the deep back. Swittenberg up the middle, into the secondary. Pickup of about 14 or 15 yards. Nice job for the Eagles. Great downfield blocking.
We've seen it a lot. Troy Swittenberg, that's a great run. And once he gets through that line, that is the biggest key. If that line gives him a hole to get through, he does the rest. Nobody does it for him. He does the rest. And once he got through there, another big gain for Troy Swittenberg.
Great job. He's done it this year so far to the tune of 755 yards, averaging well over 100 yards a contest. And I think that Coach Grove is definitely going to want him to accumulate that many yards this afternoon. Pro-I formation. Kreider gives the ball. That's Chris Blake gives the ball to Swittenberg. Getting into the secondary, still on his feet. Brought down about 16, 17 yards downfield. Almost looked like the same exact play.
Believe that it was, and it's working, so why not do it again? Because that's two 15-yard gains from Norristown very quickly into CB East territory, and they are moving the ball, and this would be big for them to score first in this game.
It's not broke, don't fix it. It's going to come back to that great job on the Norristown defensive line by batting that ball down, putting the Patriots in a punting situation, and now they're going to capitalize on it. They have advanced all the way into CB East territory, down to the 32-yard line. The Eagles in the pro-I formation. Blake behind center. Takes the snap. Gives the ball to the up back. That time it's Darrell Johnson, the fullback, trying to keep the defense honest. 2nd and about 8 for the Eagles.
Darrell Johnson doesn't get a lot of carries, but the 3 or 4 or 5 that he gets a game, he takes advantage of, and he'll get 5 or 6 yards. And that's been a mainstay in Coach Grove's offense. They always run that quick hitter just to keep that defense honest, and it usually works.
Coach Grove fielding dangerous teams down here in Norristown for many years. Knows exactly what to do here. We saw a great job of strategy early on when he set up that pump and go pattern that was eventually picked off by the Patriots, but it was a great strategic call, pro-I formation. Blake takes the snap across to the far sideline. Was thrown a little bit too far out for him.
And that play right there, all about timing. We've seen it work before. Unfortunately right there, Chris Blake a little bit behind number 17, James Edmonds. And James Edmonds with those long arms just still couldn't reel it in.
Would have been quite a great athletic catch if he was able to hang on to that. The ball is at the Central Bucks East 31-yard line. 41 seconds left to go in the first quarter. We've got a scoreless game. Homecoming here for Norristown. Pro-I formation. They come back. Looks like the option play at the Swittenberg from Blake. He once again is in the secondary. Beautiful job downfield. And Swittenberg's able to get into the end zone. You'll find if you have this in your VCR, great job downfield blocking on the part of the Eagles.
That's number 82, Josh Kinlock, with a great block. They ran that option play. That's new in their offense. And that's just deceives the defense. A nice play, and then Josh Kinlock once again, that great block just to hold off his man. Once Troy Swittenberg gets a step on you, all you're going to see is the 1 on the back of his jersey.
These veteran coaches really know what to do and how to progress through a season. They're going to save a couple of their plays for later on, and that's what Coach Grove did with that option play, although it was run like it fit like an old shoe for the Eagles. Great job in there, and Swittenberg should give Kinlock a chance at spiking that ball once he made it to the end zone, because he made it happen for him. Kicks up. It is wide left. No good. 6-0. Norristown Eagles. Great job, though. It was all Swinburne. Just as we've got to the 35-second mark in the first quarter, Troy Swinburne starts to feel it, and he finds his groove, marches the Eagles down the field, and is able to get into the end zone. They couldn't capitalize with the extra point, but we're looking at 6-0, and if you're an Eagles fan and you're here at homecoming, you've got to be pretty happy with the performance on both sides of the ball so far.
Well, this CB East team is a team, it's 6-0. Really no tough test yet. As you mentioned, they still haven't played West, they still haven't played North Penn, and they're playing this tough Norristown team today. This appears to be a team that you can run on, and Troy Swittenberg is the first really star running back that they've seen this year, and they are exposing this CB's defense, with Troy Swittenberg, and absolutely fantastic drive by the Norristown Eagles.
Norristown here really is in a must-win situation if they want to keep their hopes alive for the district playoffs in a few weeks. The Patriots are also in the same position, but Norristown that much more so, already having one loss.
Well, East,
so they can't afford another one.
East, you see in the state rankings, is ranked just a little bit ahead of Norristown. They're both in the honorable mention category, but they're just ahead of them. I don't think they are. I think that Norristown is definitely the better team, as we saw from that great performance against CB West. This Norristown team really wants to come out and make a statement today that we are going to be a tough team in this league, and this might be a statement even for North Penn when they play them too.
It is, and I wouldn't be surprised if we had some representatives from some area schools here trying to figure out what both of these teams are going to do, as they've got big games coming up later on this fall.
Kevin Qualia. Norristown has really used that short kick this year. Stay away from the deep men, and Brian Scott, obviously a dangerous one. Kevin Qualia just couldn't keep that one in bounds, and CB East will start the 35-yard line.
Right now, if you're Larry Green, the head coach for Central Bucks East, you probably want to stick with your game plan. Nothing has failed them miserably so far. They haven't been able to punch it in the red zone, although they have managed to move the ball somewhat on this Norristown defense, who has bent but not broken so far. Audley Stewart on the near side is single coverage on the wideout, who is Brian Scott, but they use him as a decoy as they push the ball up the middle. Phil Lang out of the fullback spot falls forward for about 2.5 yards.
And CB's mixing it up a little bit. I like the fact that they don't use Brian Scott all the time. But going back to the point that you made, CB East is always in a game as long as you have a guy like Brian Scott in the backfield, because he can break anything.
That's right. Scott's dangerous. They're going to put him in a couple different positions and use him in many different ways, and that's, again, a veteran coach's knowledge of the game and all his experience. Yaboa Cobbled was in on that tackle of Phil Lang as the first quarter draws to a close. 6-0 Norristown Eagles. Homecoming right now. They're headed hopefully on their way to a victory. And we'll switch sides of the field. Greg, what have you noticed so far on both sides of the ball? Anything standing out?
It appears to be a really evenly matched game right now. Norristown defense, after that first drive, seems to have settled down on the second drive and forcing some mistakes like they're so good at doing. Norristown offense looks real strong. Running Troy Swittenberg. A lot of teams know Troy Swittenberg now. This is his second year of being the main running back. A lot of teams know Troy Swittenberg, and they've been keying on him. They've been using a lot of passing, and I think a lot of coaches have in their mind, and I bet you Larry Green does too, wow, they passed for about 230 yards against CB West. CB West is #1 in the state. They're going to be passing a lot. All of a sudden, Troy Swittenberg comes out and just starts ripping off yardage and gets a touchdown. You got to wonder what you're going to do. You only have 11 guys on the field, and you can only stop so many people. And it's amazing to watch the diversity of the Norristown offense.
Passing game adds such a huge dimension at this level of play here at high school. If you've got a guy like Chris Blake back there taking snaps, you're really able to give a lot more nightmares to the opposing defenses. Central Bucks East lines up in a slot right strong. Steve Kreider comes up, three-step drop, does a pop pass into Scott, who looks like he's all alone in the secondary, becomes a foot race. Scott turns on the Jets. Joe Paterno's going to love to watch this tape as he just blows by Trey Hadrick back there in the secondary for the touchdown. And once You turn around, next thing you know, 6 seconds into the second quarter, they've evened the score up at 6 apiece. Don't rest yet, Norristown fans.
Well, I told you, folks, you have Brian Scott on your side of the ball. You're never out of a game. And I like that quick play to Brian Scott. Every time they gave him the ball as a running back, it hasn't been working. They gave it to him on a pass, and this is what Norristown does with Troy Swittenberg a lot now, too. Now that they gave the ball to Brian Scott, now he's got some open field, and he made a great move on a couple of Norristown defenders. And Trey Hadrick really had no shot at catching him because Brian Scott's got 4.5 speed.
Brian Scott does a great job getting in the end zone. East is able to put the extra point on the board as well. So now they carry a lead, 7-6. Here as we are starting off the second quarter, Tim Becker was able to convert the extra point for the Patriots. Well, we had Brian Scott line up in that near side slot when they gave the ball to Phil Lang to end the first quarter. First play of the second quarter, he lines back up in that spot, looks like a decoy, and Kreider's got himself a tough pass. That's a tough pass to throw if you're a quarterback. 3-step drop, fires it, and Scott's able to have the wherewithal not only to grab the ball, but kind of visualize the defense and is able to pick a spot, get an open running lane, and next thing you know, it's a foot race through the secondary into the end zone.
And everybody runs the slant. Everybody likes the West Coast offense. Everybody's going to it in the NFL right now. San Francisco 49ers were so successful with it in the 80s. And that slant is a dangerous play if you don't have anybody lined up in your linebackers to cover that. That is a real dangerous play, as you saw from that touchdown run by Brian Scott.
I guess Brian Scott would then be doing his best impression of Jerry Rice by grabbing that. And that is key right there. You're looking more and more at some of the stats that you're shared in the NFL at least, and you see that yards after the catch is a real key stat. And right there, Scott did a great job. Set to kick off the Patriots. A high arcing kick. Bounces at the 20, takes a Norristown bounce. Jumped on by Damian Solomon at the last minute. Although that play probably gave Coach Grove a little bit of a start, as it looked like East almost jumped on it.
That's a mix-up right there. Great kick by CB East. Put it right in between the up men and the deep men. I think everybody was just kind of saying, okay, somebody's going to come up and get that. No, somebody's going to go back and get that. And it just dropped in between the two of them. Good presence right there by Damian Solomon, I believe it was, to pick that ball up, grab that and just fall on it.
That kick was a tweener. The Eagles will start from their own 25, 1st and 10, 11:41 left to go. Let's see how the Eagles can respond to that lightning quick score by Central Bucks East to start off the second quarter. The give is on a scissors. Outside, Swittenberg cutting it upfield. Still going poor arm tackling on the part of the Patriots. Swittenberg's able to manufacture 9 yards out of that play.
Good job out there.
Disappointed on the tackling job by the Patriots. You know Swittenberg's an accomplished running back. You'd think they'd give a little bit better effort.
And good job out there by number 55, Charles Monteleone. That's a nice block to keep his man tied up and make sure Troy Swittenberg can dance around him. All you got to do is keep him tied up, and Troy Swittenberg will dance around him and do the work. You just got to keep that man blocked, and that's exactly what he did.
Eagles lining up in a flank I formation. Chris Blake takes the snap, gives once again to the deep back. That time he's met rudely by number 42 from the Patriots on defense.
That's Troy Lavinia. That's a great play to
Lavinia, earlier the recipient of a tight end delay pattern on offense, makes his presence felt on defense and forces Norristown into a 3rd and 4 situation.
He broke through that line and said hello Troy Swittenberg and stuck him right there. And CB East obviously gaining some momentum. Really wants to stop him here and get the ball back and put 7 more on the board.
I guess after they watched Swittenberg lance through their line 4 or 5 times on the previous drive, they decided they were going to key him a little bit harder. That could work into Norristown's advantage momentarily. East stacking the line. They've got everyone within 3 yards of it on a 3rd and short situation. Blake does a beautiful job throwing the ball outside, just over the outstretched hands of Damian Solomon.
As soon as I saw Chris Blake drop back, I looked over and I saw Damian Solomon on number 7, Ryan Callahan. And before I could look back again, he had a step on him. And I said, throw the ball, and that's exactly the guy. Just a little bit off, but that pass will come. And when it comes, that's going to be a nice run, because there was no safety back there to stop him. East
gambles on that play defensively and ends up winning as they make Norristown punt.
Trey Hadrick, the 3-way player pretty much.
Miscommunication up front. Looks like it could have gone against the Patriots, and they might actually have enough to keep this drive going.
Norristown likes the call, and they will get a first down and keep that offense on the field. This is really something that they have to take advantage of. You have to take advantage of breaks from undefeated teams, and let's see if Norristown does it right here.
You're absolutely right, Greg. Good job. They tried to get some yardage out of Swittenberg, and they weren't. East wasn't biting. They tried to go in the air. East wasn't biting, so they decided to outthink them. They outsmarted them on the special teams play, which is crucial here. 7-6. Just over 10 minutes left to go in the second quarter. We've got the pro wideouts formation. Blake takes the snap, hands it off. Swittenberg looks like he got 4.5, 5 yards. One thing that you'll notice about Blake, he continued his fake after handing the ball off to Swittenberg. Attention to detail is so important. He looked like he still had the ball and was going to throw it. That will freeze the secondary, actually. A lot of quarterbacks figure that's a detail they don't need to worry about. Blake does a great job continuing that play out, and that's going to help his Norristown Eagles, and it's going to help Troy Swittenberg.
And you have to sell that play. If you're going to do it, that's got to be the play, and that is the key part of the play. And if you can sell those safeties, you don't know how much room you're going to get.
Making him think. Second down and a long 7. Once again, there's that option play. Blake kicks it out to Swittenberg. That time they did not have as much success on there. East had seen it once before. The coaches probably brought them to the sideline and told them their responsibility, and now they're third and about 6.5, 7 yards.
And that option play, you got to make sure that you pitch that ball out. You get right to the running back. As you see from an offense like Nebraska, they run the option a lot, and you never see a botched option play because they know exactly what they're doing with it every time. Norristown only uses it a couple times during a game. We've seen it twice already. First one was successful, this one not as successful. It's just a little bit of a mix-up that you got to make sure that that doesn't happen again, and I don't think it won't.
Josh Kinlock racing off the field just in time. We've got a slot to the far side. Central Bucks East get their hand on him in time to affect this pass that was intended for James Edmonds. That was number 42 for Central Bucks East. Troy Lavinia once again. He's really an impact player, and he's standing out already for the Patriots.
And he is eating alive the right side of that Norristown offensive line. Coach Grove going to have to do something to get some double teaming over there because he is getting through to Chris Blake. And if Chris Blake doesn't have time, the passing game doesn't run. And if the passing game doesn't run, this Norristown offense doesn't run.
4th down and long, 4th and 6 for the Eagles, and they're going to call timeout, I believe, as they try to sort out what strategy they want to take. That's Blake still on the field right now. I'm not sure if he's part of the normal punt unit.
I think we have a shortage of players on the field for Norristown, a little bit of a mix-up. That's the kind of stuff that Coach Grove really doesn't like, and you know he'll go out and tell his unit about that.
They burn up a first half timeout in order to figure out what the problem is.
Those timeouts right now may not be important, but who knows? If you get to the point with about a minute left and you need a timeout and you don't have it, that's a big play. So you know Coach Grove's not going to like that.
This game was highlighted on everyone in southeastern Pennsylvania's schedule, and everyone knew that this was going to be a close battle all the way leading up to the game. So you know that this is going to be a game where that missed extra point on the part of the Eagles may come into play. So every play, every timeout is really going to count here.
But you need every point you can get when you're playing an undefeated team, and they really need every point they can get. Let's hope that doesn't come back to bite him because Matt Spicko has been very dependable this year.
Watch Chris Blake. He is in the backfield right now for the punt unit. I don't think you're going to see East jump off sides, and they didn't. Nice job on the punt. Takes a beautiful Eagles bounce. Still rolling downfield inside the 30. Looks like it's going to roll to a stop around the 27-yard line. I'm sorry, the 15-yard line or 17-yard line.
Good job right there by Donovan Palmer to let that ball bounce. He got a very good bounce. Move CBE's back a little bit. Don't give them as much room to work with. They still have pretty good field position. Or no, excuse me, they're at the 17-yard line.
17-yard line,
I'm not seeing the yardage lines too well tonight.
Well, neither of us have our glasses on, so it's a crapshoot with this. Hadrick does a nice job on the punt. Ends up getting a good roll, pinning the Patriots inside their own 20-yard line. Kreider under center. Split backfield, rolls out to the near side, the short side of the field. It's a quarterback keeper. Looks like he can move the ball maybe 5 yards or so. against that Norristown Eagle defense. 8:24 left to go, second quarter, 7-6. Central Bucks East on top. Here, homecoming, Roosevelt Field.
Steve Kreider, nice to roll him out. Nice to have a quarterback who's really mobile. The Norristown fans really don't see that. You don't see a lot of Chris Blake running, and he'll pretty much do it only if he's in trouble. But Steve Kreider, obviously a quarterback that is another weapon, and when you have a quarterback and a running back who are both weapons on the ground, it's real dangerous.
We mentioned earlier Kreider was able to manufacture 2 touchdowns running last week. We've got motion number 39, Mike Taylor. The handoff is to Brian Scott. He's trying to spin out of the Eagles' grasp, but is unable to, and looks like he might have lost a half a yard or so.
And that's something you don't see very often. He got away from Doug White. And usually when Doug White gets back there, it's pretty much a loss, but still good pursuit by the Norristown defense. Make sure he didn't get any gain out of that.
Number 78, Doug White, 305-pound senior. Shores up that defensive line. CB East, 3rd and about 5. They've got a slot to the near side. Lang and Scott in the backfield. Drop back, Kreider throws across to the near side. That's number 42 with the catch. Troy Lavinia, the tight end, drops back. Not enough for the first down, though. You're going to look at 4th and about 2 yards to go.
Well, a couple things on that play. Number 1, that was number 22, Don Vaughn Jr. out there, and he got a little bit of a hit put on him there by Troy Lavinia. And Troy Lavinia is a huge guy, 6'2", 220, big target. Number 2, that's a great play by the CB East offense. I think that's a good play call. You have to switch the sides a little bit. When you get everybody over to the one side, Troy Lavinia should have had a lot of space by all rights. A good defense by the Norristown team.
Edmonds and Stewart set to field the punt. Not a bad spot there. Edmonds grabs the ball, tries to straight arm his way out of there, slides through a couple of the Patriots and is able to get his way up across the 50-yard line into East territory to the 45, livening up the hometown crowd once again.
James Edmonds, a big guy. He's got great hands back there. Every time you see Norristown, who they just want a fair catch, they stick James Edmonds out there. He never misses that ball, and that's a nice run back by James Edmonds. Just ran up the middle, broke a couple of tackles with his size, and now Norristown with great field position. Got to take advantage of this one.
Edmonds slips, slides, skithers, and muscles his way into East territory.
Using every word in the dictionary.
Why not? Norristown lines up in the slot I. Starting on the East 45, they need to take advantage of the field position. Fake to Swittenberg, plenty of time. Once again, batted down. Blake catches his own pass. Goes up about 4 yards after the receipt of that. You're not going to see that often. Great job, heads-up play on the part of Chris Blake.
Any game you see that, you gotta say to yourself, wow, I can't believe I was there to see that. That's something, it's just one of those things that it just happened. Good presence by Chris Blake. See that ball up in the air. Make sure that he got to the ball before number 3, Jake Walker, did. Jake Walker looked up in the air, was wondering where was it, and Chris Blake just ran straight through it and got a gain out of it.
Yeah, you're going to look in the box score tomorrow and see Blake on in the receiving portion of the box score. Picked up a pass to himself for about 5 yards. That'll help him in his passing efficiency rating. Slot I to the far side. Blake hands off to Swittenberg. Wrapped up again, Lavinia, number 42. Can you believe this guy, Greg Fry? He's in on almost every tackle for the Patriots.
Great pursuit, and he's using all of his 220 over there, just eating through that Norristown line. They have got to do something. It looks like they might be sticking number 82, Josh Kinlock, over there as the tight end, maybe help the line over there, but there's got to be a solution. I'm sure they'll be talking about it at halftime.
Lavinia, who's a senior, joined up front there on that tackle by Frank Loria, who is a sophomore, but he's 265 pounds, so Green's got him out there. Notably absent from the Patriots, Colby Umbrell, one of their senior co-captains, was hurt earlier this year, and he will not be playing. The Patriots hurt slightly by injuries, but not nearly as bad as last year when they went 5-5, and they suffered through one of the poorer years in recent memory for the Patriots.
We have a timeout called by Norristown. Again, another mix-up, and Coach Grove even unhappier than the last one, but Norristown looked in that formation. They had Darrell Johnson over on that side, and it's number 56, Chris Brown, is over on that side. Give him a little bit of help. Chris Brown is really the only guy who's not a veteran on that line. Not the guy, he's the only guy that we didn't call his name last year. So just give him a little bit of help over there with Darryl Johnson. Give Chris Blake a little bit more time.
4:41 left to go to the half. 7-6, CB East on top. Norristown has the ball. It's 3rd and about 4. Ball spotted on just about the Central Bucks East 40-yard line. East really needs to make a strong push, get themselves into the end zone, and able to be able to go into halftime and have some momentum so they can come out of the tunnel for the second half feeling good about themselves.
Norristown, of course, getting that break with the James Edmonds run back. They've got to do something. They had this great field position. It'd be a really big waste for Norristown.
Slot right with a near side wing who goes in motion. That's Audley Stewart. The pitch goes to him. He frees himself up, gets outside, and is able to make it about 11 yards downfield. Picks up that Norristown first down. Good job and a very imaginative play call on the part of Coach Grove.
Swittenberg, Stewart throwing the ball to Solomon, Edmonds, Darryl Johnson getting it on quick hitters, Chris Blake throwing balls off of people and catching them himself. You never know what this Norristown offense is going to do. And right there, using Audley Stewart, Coach Grove said he's going to do it. And I think Audley Stewart, using him, that's how this team's going to get even better. And he is a threat, and you got to use him.
Johnson and Swinburg in the backfield. They've got a far side slot. Chris Blake with the ball, little misdirection play. Audley Stewart gets it. He's wrapped up by a couple of Patriots, number 7 and number 37. That's Ryan Callahan and Phil Lang accompanying him on the tackle. Phil Lang, a senior co-captain.
Well, Audley Stewart says on the roster here that he's 5'10", 170, so he's not going to break a lot of tackles. He's obviously a speed guy, and you got to get him open field. He's not going to break a lot of tackles, and he's got to stay open, and a good play by the CB East defense. Once you have him wrapped up, that's pretty much where he's going to stay. But he is a scrappy back, and he will get yards after the run.
Slot eye to the near side. Blake drops back. He's got a two-man pattern. Wide open in the secondary is Edmonds. Grabs the ball, wrestled down in the Patriots secondary. Probably not enough for the first down, but pretty close. Nope. Looks like they're waving the first down. They do pick up the first down. Great job by Blake. Good job by Edmonds catching the ball and then worrying about running with it.
Well, there we go. He got to that first down marker. It looks like he knew where he was going. He sat down at it and got that first down. Once again, we see that strong arm of Chris Blake with that rifle to James Edmonds over the middle. Good catch by James Edmonds, and once again, having the presence to know where the first down marker is and just sitting down right there.
Clock continues to tick away. We're at the 3-minute mark here, the second quarter. Norristown threatening on the Patriots' 20-yard line. Swittenberg gets the call up the middle, trying to fight through the linebacking core of the Patriots for a pickup of about 4 yards.
Troy Swittenberg was down on that play, and all of a sudden I looked up, and he's the last guy through that pile. You never know, and he just somehow, I still don't understand it, but somehow he slips through there and gets those extra yards. That's really the sign of a great back, a guy who's not going to get hit after 2 yards and go straight down. A guy that gets hit after 2 yards and wound up with a 5-yard gain.
Nice job up front, led up there by Chris Brown and Yeboah Cobbled, helping lead the way for Swittenberg all afternoon. Slot to the far side, backs in an I formation. Blake takes the snap, drops back. Once again, a two-man pattern. Same play over to Edmonds. Mirror image on the other side of the field. That time he was not able to reel it in.
The ball was a little low, a little bit behind him. Still a ball James Edmonds got his hands on, but that ball was hit. That ball was thrown so hard that that's a tough one to reel in. You got to really keep the hands solid on that one, and tough break for Norristown.
Coach Grove and his offensive staff obviously recognizing the fact that the Patriots are having problems defending that play. Edmonds is a tough receiver to keep your hands on, fast and sizable. Edmonds, number 17. 6'3", 185-pound junior, wide open, set. Looks like the ball is hammered as it comes out of Blake's hand, and it kind of ducks away from any of the Eagles, puts him in a fourth down situation.
Well, he had two guys over there, and one of them was number 88, Ernie Terrell, and just a tough break for Blake getting his arm hit right at the line of scrimmage. Now they're going to bring on Matt Spitko and try the field goal. This will put them up 9-7.
Norristown tried to open it up on that play with a double slot formation. CB East has managed to deflect a couple of those passes almost at the line of scrimmage of Blake, which is kind of unusual because Blake's a rather tall quarterback. A lot of the quarterbacks in this league are 5'9", 5'10", maybe 5'11". Blake is on the plus side of the 6 foot mark, 6'2". And yet that East defensive line has the presence necessary to get in his way and get a mid on some of these balls that he's trying to throw.
We have Troy Lavinia at a very tall 6'2", and Jake Walker at a huge 6'4". Those two guys are your ends, and if you're going to the outside, those are the two guys you want blocking the pass. And you're told as a lineman, get the hands up on a pass play. And that's what they've been doing. They've been batting some balls down. They've been getting to Blake and knocking him down a little bit. So good job by the CB East defensive line. I'm impressed by some of the stuff that they do, and I'm really impressed by Troy Lavinia over on that far side.
And a great job by our crack research crew, able to come up with those sizes of those East Patriots for us on the air. 1:54 left to go, second quarter, 7-6, CB East on top.
That was
Norristown going to try to get some more points on the board, and hopefully we'll be able to go into halftime with a lead.
That was my job last year, statistician, but now I'm behind on the mic.
Now you're wearing both hats.
Yep.
Chris Blake set the hold, the quarterback. Keep your eye on him. Oh, blocked. Another blocked kick, and this time Scott is able to get it cleanly. Too many Eagles impeding his progress. 1:41 left to go in the second quarter. Blocked field goal. Special teams has played a huge part in today's game.
Another huge play from CB East, and I don't know the last time I've seen 2 blocked field goals in a game. We certainly haven't seen it in one half. But all of a sudden, CB East right on the other side, right on their side of the 50-yard line.
Special teamers up front are having a hard time keeping the defensive lines out of the way. Matt Spitko for the Eagles, unable to convert on that opportunity. 7-6 still. Norristown misses out on an opportunity. We knew this was going to be a tough game. Nip and tuck all the way. Central Bucks East, short drop back, 3-step drop. Outside to Linders. Pickup of about 5 or 6 yards on the half of the Patriots, who would like nothing more than to go in and get some gravy on the score.
They're going in their hurry-up offense to try and get things going. Ole Stewart, a nice play over there, just to hold up his receiver until Darryl Johnson could come over there and give him some help.
Slot to the far side, open near side, over the middle. Tried that slant pattern that worked so well for the Eagles earlier, but they're not able to get the ball out there to Scott Benham, the 5'11 junior. Nice ball, though, by Kreider. 3rd down and 5, 1:21 left to go.
And folks, we want to remind you to stay tuned for our homecoming events at halftime. We're going to have our float competition and crown our homecoming queen and king.
Hosted by your very own Greg Fry.
They gave me the stuff. I don't know exactly what I'm doing with it, but
sure,
we're just going to kind of wing it at halftime.
No, you know exactly what you're doing.
It sounds more impressive if I say I'm winging it, though.
Slot to the near side, backs in the I formation. Kreider under center, drops back, hands the ball on a draw to Brian Scott, spinning away. Not able to separate. I believe that's Cobble that had him.
66, Yeboah Kabold holding on to him there. Flag thrown.
Looks like East is going to benefit from a Norristown penalty. And with 1:14, that's the last thing you want to see, especially in front of this homecoming crowd.
They get a score here at an extra point. It's 14-6.
Personal foul on behalf of the Eagles.
You're going to need a touchdown and 2-point conversion. But really, if you go in 7-6, you're saying, okay, you know, all we need is a field goal, we need is a touchdown, well, we're in good shape. You go in saying, okay, we have to score a touchdown and get that 2-point conversion. You start to think a little bit, wow, they're up on us. So this is a big stop for Norristown if they can hold them here.
CB East in a wide spread formation gives the ball to Phil Lang. He's pushed back. If anything, he lost about 2 yards there. 51 seconds left to go in the second quarter.
Once again, Doug White getting through that line, having a big game today. You realize that this is going to be one of his last home games, so good stick by Doug White.
Kreider over the middle, gives it to Lavinia again for a second catch in the first half. He does a nice job doing something with the ball after he catches it. Gets a first down for the Patriots. It could have been fumbled at the end. At any rate, the ball will be spotted right around the 9-yard line. I don't believe Norristown came up with it. CB East, with a half a minute left to go, continues to advance the ball. Lavinia is having a standout game for East.
And East going to use one of their timeouts. They're running this really well, and the time just happens to be with them. Now with 31 seconds left, they're looking to score right now, and I don't think there's going to be any time on the board if they do score for Norristown to even get the ball back.
Senior Steve Kreider showing a lot of poise back there, directing this 2-minute drill offense. Puts them in scoring position. 1st and 10. They're going to have a full complement of shots here to get the ball into the end zone for a touchdown. And really, this would, even if they had to kick from here, would be a 27-yard field goal. Although we've seen what the field goal opportunities have resulted in so far today. I'm sure that's the last thing that Coach Green would like to do.
I'm sure Coach Green is thinking, let's get 6 here. But Norristown got to be thinking, we got to stop them. If we give up a field goal here, that's fine. We'll go in 10-6, but we cannot afford to give up a touchdown.
Clock management right now becomes a key issue. We've got motion. He tries to get the ball on kind of an underneath pattern. Not enough juice on it. Mike Taylor in motion, the junior.
The way he threw that, it appeared there was some kind of wind current or something, because he threw it and we looked out and all of a sudden it just kind of fell to the ground. So a tough play for CB's there, but it does stop the clock, and I like the pass on 1st down there. See if you can try and get something in the end zone.
Nice conservative call. Shouldn't have been too difficult of a pass. Low risk. Makes Kreider run his own play in from the sideline. East lining up once again in a pretty spread formation. We've got Scott to the near side, picked up by Swittenberg in a marquee matchup. Kreider over the middle, pop pass, number 39 for Central Bucks East. Mike Taylor, the intended receiver on the last play. Looks like it's good for about 6 or 7 yards. 20 seconds left to go.
And they've only used 10 seconds on 2 downs. So good clock management by CB East, and a nice. I like the quick hitters. I like the quick plays. You can't really afford to be sitting back there and letting that Norristown defense come at you. You got to get rid of the ball. You got to know what you're doing. You got to send quick plays and beat that Norristown secondary.
Greg, how important is this play right here? 3rd down and 4 yards to go. They can actually still get a 1st down, although at that point it looks like they would just be in for a touchdown. But this is 3rd down. If they don't convert, they're going to have to resort to the field goal unit.
I think East is thinking, we get 6 here, we're going to win this game. If they get 3 here, they're thinking, okay, we have the lead. Norristown stops them for 3. They're thinking, we are still in this game and we are playing well.
All right. Slot man Taylor in motion. Once again, he's going to throw the fade, this time out of the end zone, however. Brian Scott looks like he wants some type of a call on that one, but it looked like the ball would not have been able to be caught in bounds anyway. 4th down for the Patriots. It'll be interesting to see what he comes up here with here.
And
looks like the field goal crew's coming on the field.
We keep talking about that marquee matchup over on the side. 2 of the best running backs in the state, and watching one cover one and then watching the other cover the other on the defense, both sides. Troy Swittenberg doing a great job over there. Just all he did was just keep following Brian Scott, and that ball was going out of bounds, and no interference. He just followed him out of bounds and just let that ball go right out.
We have a tendency to call them running backs, but you'll find Scott lined up as a wide receiver, and you'll find both of them as D-backs too. Okay, Patriots get the ball up. Looks like they have one of the few successful special teams plays of the afternoon. It's going to give the Patriots a 10-6 lead. So far, we've got just enough time for Norristown to maybe try 1 or 2 last-second plays to maybe get some more points on the board, but 10-6 right now, Greg.
I think that's a moral victory right there for the Norristown Eagles. That unfortunate personal foul to back put CB's 15 yards away. I think without that 15 yards, CB's is thinking, okay, we got to try and throw something long to get into the end zone. With that 15 yards, that was really big, because then they were thinking, okay, we're even closer to the end zone, and now we can do something. But once again, I think a moral victory for the Norristown Eagles, keeping it within 4 points. If you have to go back to those 8 points, once again, you never know what's going to happen in the second half. Norristown has played well in the second half this year, so we'll see what happens.
Well, this game has been about special teams so far. Special teams field goal right there after a blocked field goal on the other part, and CB East was able to capitalize on that blocked attempt by the Eagles. Nice poise, clock management. Good job by Central Bucks East. Swinberg and Stewart deep, and then you line up Blake behind the center with a dangerous arm. Certainly not out of the question here for the Eagles to be able to put some points on the board as the East squibs it. Picked up by Stewart. Juke, Barry Sanders, the first guy, actually does a good job hanging on there. Mike Taylor.
Well, everybody tries the up kick on Norris. Tries to hit the up man, and a lot of these coaches, Larry Green knows, Mike Pettin from CB West knows, all these guys know. But they have some dangerous up men, and they will move Audley Stewart up there to try and receive that ball, and maybe surprise some defenses a little bit.
Ball brought out to the Norristown 30-yard line. 4 seconds left.
Call a prevent defense.
East certainly gives them ample cushion. Well, Blake drops back, and they're going to give the ball to Swittenberg and more or less run the clock out, although Swittenberg will get a chance to put some more yards on his stat line there. 12-yard pickup, runs out the time. That's the end of the first half. CB East with a field goal towards the end of the second quarter, up 10-6 over top of the hometown Norristown Eagles, who are getting a rousing ovation as they head into the tunnel, Greg.
A great half by both teams. This is a really exciting game, exciting to call and exciting to watch. Both of these teams got to still be thinking, okay, what's going to happen in the second half, and what are we going to do to try and beat the other team?
Well, we will rejoin you, or actually Greg Fry will rejoin you with the pageantry of homecoming for halftime. I'll rejoin everyone for the start of the second half, and we will be right back. Roosevelt Field, Norristown.
top 14 in the rank. They have a great shot. It's starting to work out that way.
Yeah, right. Look at the face. You must know things.
Welcome back, folks. This is the halftime. We want to welcome you to the homecoming celebration. Right now we have the class of 2001. This is the 10th graders. This is the third place float. And get fired up.
10th graders, get fired up.
The sophomores of the school. Nice to have everyone with us today. The float behind them is the senior float. Of course, they are really happy. Since this is their last homecoming, they are, of course, enjoying this as much as they can. Right now, we have the Elegant Steppers performing. This is the Norristown drill team. So once again, we had the drill team getting a nice round of applause. Now the class of 2001. Behind them, the senior class with absolutely huge motor vehicle, I guess borrowing things from the Army, sitting on the back of a huge truck, honking the horn. They are fired up, as well they should be. The crowd loving it. We have everybody lined up along the fence, screaming and yelling to their friends. Of course, a beautiful day for homecoming today. And after the senior class float, we will see the first place float, which is the junior float, the class of 2000. And their theme is Devour the Patriots.
Devour the Patriots.
This is the loudest class yet, and they are throwing things into the stands. Appears to be candy that they're throwing into the stands. Always a way to get the fans to really like you. We have many of the people dressed up in Patriot costumes, and they have a little bit of a skit that they appear to be doing right now. Sorry, Eagles devouring the Patriots theme. A very creative float by the juniors. This is, you can obviously see by their school spirit and their creative float that this is the reason that they won. Great job by all the classes to produce these great floats. Now that we're done with our float competition, we'll be moving on to our cars. In car number 1, we have the senior cheerleaders. The back of the Jeep there. In car number 2, we have Rob Bruni, accompanied by Mecca Hawkins. Car number 3, we have Don Miller, escorted by Samantha Dungan. In car number 4, we have Gabrielle Fazio, accompanied by Frank Giammatteo. Car number 5, we have Chanel Mayo, or excuse me, Melissa Ghostin, accompanied by Carl Baker. Car number 6 is Amy Jablonski, Jim Segalski. Car number 7 now is Chanel Mayo and Mo P. Car number 8 is Stephanie Pastilli and Mike Tudoris. Car number 9 is last year's homecoming queen, Kim Houston. Right now we have everyone getting out of their cars. The cars are donated by Sport Honda, Conshohocken Ford, Norristown Ford, by the Dungan family, the Silvestrinis, the Girondos, Mr. Souter, and Mr. Santangelo. Now we have Mr. Santangelo announcing Chanel Mayo, Amy Jablonski and Jim Sagalski. One of our King candidates, Don Miller and Samantha Dungan. Gabrielle Fazio, escorted by Frank Giammatteo. Rob Bruni, escorted by Mecca Hawkins. Melissa Ghostin, Queen candidate, escorted by Carl Baker. And Queen candidate Stephanie Pastilli, escorted by Mike Tudoris. We'll have our winner in a second for Homecoming Queen. And the Queen is Stephanie Pastilli. Gets a nice round of applause from the fans here. A kiss from Mike Tudoris as Queen Kim Houston gives her the sash, and their 1998 Homecoming Queen once again is Stephanie Pastilli. Congratulations to her. Congratulations to all our finalists out on the field right now. The King candidates: Rob Bruni, Don Miller, Darrell Johnson, Carl Moore, John Bird, and Chris Blake. And the winner of the 1998 Homecoming King is, we'll have it in a second,
Don Miller.
And Don Miller is the winner. Congratulations to Don Miller. He is the Homecoming King for 1998. So congratulations to Stephanie Pastilli, Homecoming Queen, and Don Miller, Homecoming King. And folks, we'll be right back to bring you second half action, Norristown and CB East from Roosevelt Field. Welcome back to Roosevelt Field for second half action between Norristown and CB East. CB East has jumped out to a 10-6 lead in the first half, scoring on a big pass play to start the second half from quarterback Steve Kreider to running back Brian Scott, and he broke it with that great speed, ran straight down the field. Nobody could catch him for a touchdown. Norristown, of course, scoring 6 points on a Troy Swittenberg run. A great job there from the Norristown offense to make sure Troy Swittenberg got that open space. Big stats for Norristown. Troy Swittenberg already over 100 yards, 11 carries for 113 yards. Chris Blake, 2 of 8 for 17 yards. That really tells how much Norristown passing game is struggling today. We'll see if they can turn it on here in the second half. Norristown will receive. And for play-by-play action, we'll throw it back to my partner, John Price.
After a great halftime homecoming show with Greg Fry, East setting to kick off. At halftime, I had a chance to speak with Coach Pettin from CB West and a couple of the other coaching staffs from North Penn are all here, as we suspected, watching the Troy Swittenberg, Brian Scott show.
If not for them, just to watch a great football game and be in a great environment too. This is just so great here today at Roosevelt Field.
Classic high school football Saturday here. Audley Stewart takes the deep kick. brings it up the middle. Once again, rudely met by a host of Patriots, but not until he reaches the 30-yard line.
Once again, we want to congratulate, Don Miller as the homecoming king, Steph Fastilli as the homecoming queen, and all the classes who made floats and participated in the float competition this year.
Chris Blake at the helm. Struggled a little bit in the first half, but this is a quality kid who's really going to hurt you if you take your eye off of him for a second. In a pro formation, we've got Strong to the left side. Blake with a 3-step drop. They're looking for that slant pass, but he was held up on defense by Jeremy Mitchell from Central Bucks East. But that was James Edmonds once again, who they're trying to look to.
And John, I like that call. I like coming out in the first play of the second half, coming out saying, all right, we're going to come right at you, and looking for that big receiver, James Edmonds, just couldn't connect. It seems like that play has just been a half a millisecond off the whole game.
Well, East looks like they're all over it, and Mitchell playing that side of the field impeded Edmonds' progress, and he was unable to get through to the ball. Possibly could have been a flag there. Pro-I formation, give to the deep back. Swittenberg cuts it up to the right side. Does a nice job keeping on his feet. Makes it out for potential first down yardage.
Nice job there by Troy Swittenberg to get to the outside, break a couple of tackles from the line.
Well, we gave credit to Swittenberg for his 100-yard plus first half, but let's give some credit to that offensive line, too. They're certainly doing a great job and continue to do a great job of opening up the holes and letting Swittenberg get into some running lanes.
And we'll say their names again. Doug White, Yaboa Cabold, Mike Ginyard, James Davis, Troy Ellis, just open up holes for him. And Troy Swittenberg, with all the great stuff that he does, you always hear about running backs in the NFL buying their line watches, and Troy Swittenberg really owes a lot to that offensive line.
East tight. Everyone's within 3 yards of the ball. On this 3rd and short, they give the ball to Swittenberg. East does a good job of wrapping and hanging on to Troy Swittenberg. Number 55, Anthony Green, comes up from the linebacker spot for Central Bucks East.
Well, I got to say that CB East was in Norristown's playbook there. They knew exactly what they were going to do. They made a great stop. Just good call by CB East. Good decision to stack everybody on the line. Norristown just couldn't execute on that 3rd and short.
Coach Grove inserts the punt unit. They have the ball at their own 40-yard line as we just start the 3rd quarter, 10-24. Norristown homecoming. What a handsome group of homecoming court members. Huh, Greg? Great looking people.
Everybody dressed
Great
up
show.
nice, and Monday I'll see them back in jeans at school, but nice to see everybody dressed up and everything.
Fair catch, caught, and down. He looked like he had plenty of room to take off with that, but that was Mike Taylor. Takes the ball for East at their own 26, 27-yard line.
Well, folks, I got to tell you, there's 2 guys back there. There's Mike Taylor and there's Brian Scott. I think I'm going to punt to Mike Taylor and let Mike Taylor beat me instead of letting Brian Scott beat me. And from what we've seen today, Brian Scott just has so much talent. So a good punt there by Trey Hadrick. Just give East the ball back. Let him have the ball back. Just punt it to Mike Taylor.
It's a good idea, Greg. You have a future in coaching, potentially.
Don't know about that, but we'll see.
Steve Kreider, Bob Holmes in motion from the wing, gives the ball to Scott, trying to pick and choose his holes. Gets up for about a 6-yard gain.
There we see explosiveness from Brian Scott again. Just running parallel with his line, waiting until he saw that hole. Once he saw the hole, in a split second, he's through the hole, and he gets that 4 or 5 yard gain. A nice job there by Brian Scott.
4 or 5 yards. Doug White drags him down. Extra special effort there by Mr. White.
Anytime you can pull down 6'2", 205 Brian Scott, it's going to take a good effort, and Norristown D's trying to do that in this second half.
Holmes once again to the near side in motion. Kreider on a keeper. Spun around for first down yardage.
Once again, there you see that quarterback keeper, and he just runs on that side.
Knocked down by Audley Stewart.
When you have a team that has, when they have a threat, when they have such a threat, it just opens it up for so many other people. And Steve Kreider really taking advantage of that today. We really have not seen him get stopped on that quarterback keeper, and I expect to see East run that play a lot especially with a 10-6 lead and driving right now.
Well, you mentioned Brian Scott's size. Kreider certainly is no lightweight himself. He's 205 pounds and only 5'11", so he's built a little bit squatty.
He's big enough to be a running back too.
Slot right to the far side, I formation. Looks like Doug White might have jumped into the neutral zone. No flag thrown on the play, number 66.
That's Yaboa Kabold and 51 Troy Ellis on that play. Good job by Norristown defense to get a good jump and stop Brian Scott in the backfield. That's really what you got to do. You got to get him in the backfield. You can't let him try and get out to the outside, and you can't let him dance, and you can't. He will overpower you, but he is such a good dancer, and he just gets around you. You got to stop him, and you got to make sure that he doesn't get past the line of scrimmage.
Kabold didn't believe the hype, filled the lane there, and brought down the elusive Brian Scott. This time Scott is not in the backfield. He's lined up as the wideout to the far side. Kreider hands the ball up, number 44 for Central Bucks East. That's a new name for us, Bob Holmes. We've seen him in motion a couple times. He's just a freshman, Bob Holmes.
He's got a few carries last week, and CB is always nice to have a guy who's a fullback, and you know, if you can stick a freshman in a huge game like this, you got to have some confidence in him. So, you know, Bob Holmes isn't a rookie who's got some nerves. You know he's got to be a good player because he's in one of the biggest games of the year right now for CB East.
Good job by the coaching staff of CB East to recognize the fact that it's a good opportunity maybe for him to get some veteran seasoning. Third and about 6 yards. Kreider drops back, 5-step drop back. He's got a crossing pattern. Scott couldn't hang on to it. Looked like it was almost going to get picked off. That will bring up a 4th down. And Greg, why don't we go over the coaching staff for the Norristown Eagles and let everyone know who's leading this team tonight or today.
Well, the head coach is Roger Grove, and he's been here, I think it's about his 23rd or 24th year. He's done a great job with this Norristown team for so many years. Assistant coaches Frank Casano, Anthony Cicchino, Jack Griffiths, Brian Kennedy, Nick Rotundo Jr., Carl Schrader, Darian Smith, E.J. Smith, and Tom Pierantozzi. This coaching staff has done a great job with this team.
Good punt this time. Audley Stewart fields it inside his own 20. Tries to head to the outside. Is drugged down, fingernails and everything. Ryan Callahan gets his hands on him.
And folks, you may say right there that what is Darryl Johnson doing? He was pretty much standing right next to Audley Stewart. That's a very good recognition by Darryl Johnson. If he blocks that man who's standing right in front of Audley Stewart, that's a block in the back, and now they're inside their 5-yard line instead of being where they are now, about the 19-yard line. So good recognition by Darryl Johnson, and you see a lot of guys wound up getting called for that block in the back, and it just drives coaches nuts. Good smart play by Darryl Johnson.
Excellent discipline on special teams. Blake lining up. He's got a slot to the far side. We've got motion. The give is on a fake counter play. Actually, the give was up the middle to Swittenberg, who finds the outside, gets himself into a lane, and works his way up to the Norristown 40-yard line.
And that player appeared to be Ryan Callahan, and I got to tell you, I think he's still trying to find his shoes because Troy Swittenberg just faked him out of, and with about 3 inches on the sideline, a great move to get those couple extra yards. But good run by Troy Swittenberg, and good play call by the Norristown coaches. We talked about them earlier. They do a great job. They mix up the plays, and I think that's a really, really smart decision right there.
Well, it's great to be able to call that play when you're running behind this accomplished Norristown line that we've mentioned before. You've got a lot of guys who are holding their blocks and enabling Swinburne not just to get that initial 3 to 4 or 5 yards, but he's able to get a little bit further into the secondary. Fake, Blake pulls up. He's got single coverage on the outside. He's got Edmonds wide open, who does a great job extending that long frame and reeling the pass in. The referee actually decides, nope, he didn't get it. He was out of bounds. Still, it was a great athletic effort. Good ball by Blake. Great job on the line holding their blocks, and he brought it in, did everything he could do.
Well, you want to throw that ball to James Edmonds with that long frame. He's 6'3", 185, so he can reach the arms out and get it. Almost a good completion for Norristown. That would have been huge. They would have been on the other side, midfield. They would have been driving. The fans would have gotten into it, but unfortunately, just didn't happen that time.
Did a great job there. We've got Lavinia. It looks like he's down on the field for CB East, which could be potentially very damaging injury, although it looks like maybe they're just working a cramp out of his calf, and that's highly likely, being that the field temperature right now could be upwards of 70 degrees. And this is the warmest it's felt in months, so these guys might be feeling the effects of that.
This would be, it's even big if he's got to come out for a couple of plays, because Troy Lavinia has just gotten to the quarterback so much today. He has just appeared to be the defensive star on that defensive end, and he just, anytime you lose a guy who's going to get to the quarterback and is going to make things happen on defense, it hurts your defense. And as soon as he's back in the game, I'm sure CB East will feel a lot better.
Aside from him, the only real standout so far for Central Bucks East would be, of course, Brian Scott. Norristown lines up once again in the Pro I formation. Swittenberg, as we've seen all afternoon, is the deep back. Darrell Johnson, fullback. I was about to say Darrell Johnston, but he's the fullback for the Cowboys. Swittenberg picking and choosing a lane and gets his way up for about 5 yards. Is going to bring up a 3rd and 5.
I'm sure Darrell Johnson will take that compliment being compared to Darrell Johnston, but unfortunately, there's only one man in this world, when he gets to the ball, everybody screams Moose, and that's Darrell Johnston of the Dallas Cowboys. So, but
looks like Swittenberg has to come to the sideline with an injury. He did walk off on his own, under his own power, but they're going to put in a very capable Audley Stewart in the meantime.
Well, Troy Swittenberg been nursing a bad ankle all year, and Audley Stewart filled in for him one game a couple of weeks ago against Ben Salem and did a very, very good job of filling in.
Outside, Stewart adds a little bit of spark. He smells out that first down marker. He's still got some room on the sideline. Is not knocked down, but knocked out of bounds in at the Central Bucks East 35-yard line. Great job there on the part of the Norristown Eagles to open that up.
And good blocking over on that far side. When you're trying to swing a man outside, oftentimes you get a holding call against you or something. But Norristown, a great job at just keeping their blocks, letting Audley Stewart get to the outside, and a great play.
That's nifty footwork right there on the part of Audley Stewart to be able to hug that sideline so tightly and make what would have been maybe a 6 or 7 yard gain and turn it into maybe 15. Pro I formation. Audley is the deep back. He's still in for Swittenberg. The give is up front to Darrell Johnson, who, coincidentally, Greg, we just found out his nickname is Moose. I guess if you're a fullback and your name is Darrell Johnson, it's just natural for your nickname to be Moose. But Moose only ends up with about a yard on that pickup.
Well,
trying to keep the defense honest.
It looked like the Dallas Cowboys, Darrell Johnson there, because he was stuck behind the line, and he fought and he scraped and he did anything he could. Make sure he got another yard out of that.
It's nice to give those non-glamour guys a little bit of a shot to get their hands on the ball and keep them going, because certainly all day or all afternoon long they're opening up the holes for the glory guys, Swittenberg and Audley. Blake lines up, Pro I formation, drops back way deep, looks like they're setting up the screen pass, moves it into Johnson. Johnson's going to take the ball, does a nice job looking like a running back of his own, and gets up, looks like first down yardage.
And I got to tell you, folks, one play that sticks out right there. Number 51, Troy Ellis, absolutely hammered number 37, Phil Lang. Phil Lang is a co-captain for CB East, and a guy that a lot of teams in this league know his name and know he's one of their best linebackers. That's a great block by Troy Ellis to free Darrell Johnson, and he gets a nice run and picks up a first down.
Lang looked very ordinary on that play. Great job setting up that deep screen pass. Good job by Blake keeping his poise. Once again, the Pro I formation. They give us to the deep back. Looks like Audley Stewart. He's got plenty of room. He's going to make it to the end zone. However, we do have a flag on that side of the field, despite that touchdown signal by the referee. Number 7, Ryan Callahan was back there trying to catch up to Stewart.
I believe we're going to have a hold on number 88, Ernie Terrell, or a clip on number 88, Ernie Terrell, excuse me. Out there on the outside, as the receiver, that's his job, to tie up the cornerback out there to free the outside. And an unfortunate break right there from Norristown.
Terrible break on that one. Terrible Blake, I said. Terrible break on that one.
That's an interesting slip, but
Stewart gets the low 5 from Swittenberg as they pass each other, send up for the next play. They'll have a first down and I believe 25. Instead of 6 points. So a drastic change.
Well, the cheerleaders are ready to throw the footballs. They have candy that they're throwing out. Everybody willing to just get right back into this game.
Speaking of the cheerleaders, it's homecoming. Did we get a chance to mention the cheerleading squad names?
I don't believe we did so far. I mentioned that we had our 2 senior cheerleaders driving in the first car during homecoming celebrations at halftime.
All right, we will make sure that we mention their names in a moment as we've got Audley Stewart in motion. The pitch is an option pass. Looks like Edmonds was trying to juke out his receiver and play a little possum, but it took too long to develop, and Stewart had to eat it.
Well, unfortunately, the halfback option usually winds up in a pass, but that's why they call it the option, because it doesn't always work. So Audley Stewart, a smart play just to hold on to it and not make a mistake there. You don't want to make a mistake down here.
That would have been excellent poise on the part of a veteran quarterback to eat that ball, but Audley did a great job for a running back, an even better job, and Stewart maybe needed to recognize he needed to turn that up a little quicker. But we mentioned the cheerleaders who have been doing a great job all afternoon, Greg. I'll give you the honors.
We'll mention them: Samantha Duncan, Natasha Robinson, Shauna Sandbrick, Jackie Spira, Kelly Fryer, Nicole Lawrence, Lauren McCabe, Tara Spearman, Tink Brennan, and Lynn Yasura. So we want to thank the cheerleaders for coming out and being out here every day for every game and getting the fans into this game.
Of course, Kelly Fryer is the captain of that squad. Audley Stewart once again in motion. Blake with a fake to the up back, but Stewart gets it, tries to bury Sanders back the other way, lost his footing, maybe fell forward for a yard or a yard and a half. They'll have 3rd and long with looks like 3 minutes left to go here in the third quarter. They are just on the 30-yard line of Central Bucks East.
Norristown might be in a little bit of trouble here. Haven't seen Troy Swintonberg get the ball in a few plays. Obviously bothered by that sprained ankle. We saw him come off of the field, and so now they're trying to get Audley Stewart involved in this game, trying to work him on some end arounds, trying to work him on some misdirection plays, you know, running him to the outside, running him to the inside, doing everything they can, try and get him free.
Once again, Norristown in the pro-I formation. Blake has some confusion on the field. They call timeout. Norristown will take a break.
This is the 3rd bit of confusion that we've seen today, and somebody's not getting some kind of information, because in a timeout in this 3rd quarter, in a 10-6 game, you never know when you're going to need it, and you're going to need it for that last-minute drive. So
that's
tough
right.
break for Norristown there, but they got to try and conserve some timeouts for late in this game.
As you said, Greg, 10-6, 2:44 left to go in the 3rd quarter. Homecoming, Roosevelt Field, 1998 matchup between 2 Suburban 1 League Titans. Of course, as we know, Norristown came into the game with 1 loss to Central Bucks West. Central Bucks East has been undefeated, and right now they're still on top. This would be their first actual test this season. They've got 2 more big ones. I'm sure they're hoping to use this as a springboard for some confidence and some experience as they head into Central Bucks West to play the Bucks, ranked number 9th in the country, and also North Penn, who are behind Central Bucks West in the state standings and the area standings, but not too far behind at all, and they gave them a tough game a week ago, 13-12 on a rainy field in Lansdale. Back to the action here at Roosevelt Field. Chris Blake taking the snap, quarterback, fakes to the I-back, launches the ball up. He's got Audley Stewart wide open. He had it in his hands, tapped it twice, came out of his hands. That was a great effort, but he just couldn't manage to bring it in. A lost opportunity on behalf of Norristown. I felt the whole city gasp for air on that play.
There was nobody down there. No coverage on that play. Nobody covered Audley Stewart. That is a great play call. He was open down that sidelines, and unfortunately just maybe a little bit too far ahead, maybe a little bit of nerves. You know, you see that end zone, you see the pylons, you see nobody in front of you. You figure, okay, this is an easy one. You're thinking about maybe something else. So tough break right there for Audley Stewart.
If this game ends 10-6, he'll want to have that one back, but they get another shot here. They've got Slout to the far side. Blake once again drops back. He's got a deep drop back. Man on the sideline. Stewart with a great effort, however. He is covered quite closely by the Patriots. D-back on that side of the field is number 34, Jeremy Mitchell, who's doing a pretty good job here in the second half of covering these Norristown wideouts.
And Jeremy Mitchell, a linebacker in our program at 5'10", 185. So it's not like it's a huge guy covering out there. He's obviously you figure a small guy like that got to have some quickness. So
I like what Coach Grove did, though. He had Audley Stewart, who dropped the pass going into the end zone. He showed that he has plenty of confidence in him and went right back to him on the very next play.
Got to go right back to a guy that's going to make plays for you, and I agree with you. That's a good play.
2.5 minutes left in the third quarter. We've got a slot to the right in the eye. We've got motion on behalf of the offense. Didn't matter. Brian Scott wasn't getting anywhere anyway. They'll march him back a couple yards. CB's called for cheating.
Is that a football term?
Yep, cheating 5 yards.
Okay, yeah.
And they'll get a do-over. First and 15.
And if they call another penalty, they're taking their ball and they're going home.
I don't think the fans would go for that.
No, I don't think any of us would.
This has been a great game. It's lived up to its pregame billing. Pro I formation. Scott is the I back. Kreider fakes the ball to Scott. Throws the ball outside, but I'll tell you what. He got all of that one. That was Audley Stewart making up for a drop pass with a great hit.
Well, Audley Stewart, a little bit of frustration there, made a great play. And Audley Stewart is really just a little frustrated right now, and he just got to calm down. Coach has got to calm him down, and he needs to just relax and get back into this game. Audley Stewart is just so valuable to this team, and he needs to just relax and made a great play and move on.
2nd down and 9. CB East. Slot to the near side. In the eye, gives the ball to Scott, who's trying to pick and choose his spot. He loses the ball. Looks like Norristown might have jumped on it. Good job there, making the most of an opportunity on the Eagles. Well, Johnson comes jumping up. That is signaling Eagles ball, and the referee agrees. Eagles will get a huge break right here. They'll get another opportunity deep within Patriot territory, and they'll start on their own 35-yard line.
Well, we talked about how Joe Paterno probably liked that nice pass play and that sprint to the end zone by Brian Scott. You know he's not going to like that play. Brian Scott with a fumble in CBE's territory. Now the Norristown offense, a great chance to capitalize, hopefully take the lead in this game.
If Joe gets his hands on that film, Scott might find himself in the defensive secondary. Blake right now leading the charge. Audley Stewart is on the sideline if he gets a chance to come in and redeem himself. It's Blake drop the deep Wittenberg, who comes up the left side of the field. He's 1-on-1. Edmonds trying to hold on to his block. Nice job. Ends up with about a 15-yard pickup. Beautiful job, Edmonds. He was trying to screen Brian Scott. He stayed with him and allowed Swittenberg to make it that far upfield. So Swittenberg, Stewart, number of Eagles that are hurting the Patriots, and hopefully one of them is going to be able to hurt them enough to convert for 6 points.
Well, Norristown comes out in that 3-receiver set. That's the first time we've seen this today. James Edmonds, Ernie Terrell, and Damian Solomon. Figuring they're going to pass, and they run that draw play to Troy Swittenberg. Good play call and a lot of space for Troy Swittenberg.
Able to spread the field out a little bit. We've got wide receivers on either side of the field. Swittenberg cuts the ball inside. Nice job. And a great job by Darrell Johnson. I mean, he's still hanging on to his block against Mike Taylor. Johnson doing a great job. We mentioned how great the line is, but Darrell Johnson leading the charge there for Swittenberg is responsible for many of those yards that Swittenberg is going to end up with today.
Well, obviously everybody always gives the #1 credit to the running back because he's the guy that has the stats at the end.
And he certainly is making it happen.
And then you give it to #2, you maybe give it to the line. Everybody talks about, oh, the line had a great game. You always got to remember the blocking fullback, and the blocking fullback always does a great job. And on this team, he is so important, and he gets the ball a few times. Darrell Johnson is a very valuable part of this team.
Pro I formation from about the Central Bucks East 12-yard line. Good job, Edmonds. Couldn't hang on to the ball, but Blake did have a passing lane there. Was able to deliver a quick pass. It came in on a spiral, but Scott was able to close just enough so that Edmonds could not hang on to that ball. Norristown will have 3rd and 5. We're looking at pretty much towards the end of the third quarter here. And the Patriots are still on top, 10-6. Norristown trying to capitalize.
These Norristown receivers, some tough balls that they had to catch. But at some point in this big game, big plays need to happen in big games, and there has not been a big play so far. You need somebody to step up and make a big play. It's got to happen soon.
Split backs. Blake turns it around, tries to swing the ball out to Swittenberg. He's got a little running room. First down yardage and into the 5-yard line. First and goal on the 5-yard line, Greg.
Well, Blake looked around. He looked for everybody. Saw his first receiver, saw his second receiver. Didn't like what he had, so he saw Troy Swittenberg standing over there. And it was a very confident ball by Chris Blake with a couple of linemen standing in his face, throwing that ball over. That's a nice play, getting the first down. And I like throwing the ball to Troy Swittenberg. Troy Swittenberg is not a one-dimensional player. He can catch the ball and then run with it. I like using him in different situations, and right there it got him a first down.
Which is exactly what Larry Green does with Brian Scott, trying to get him the ball, isolating him one-on-one against a cornerback. That will bring our third quarter to a close. We will start with fourth quarter action. Norristown threatening in the Central Bucks East red zone on the 5-yard line. They'll have 4 cracks to try to get the ball in for 6 points, a much-needed 6, as they are down 10-6 right now.
Right now, while we have some time, we want to thank 2 people who are making this happen today, our director and our producer, Mr. Sam Galbraith. Of course, we want to thank Mr. Tony Koya, who's the director of communications at Norristown High School, and Jocelyn Hadrick is our camera person today.
Great job by the technical staff and crew. A couple of the other Norristown staff that need a little credit, the athletic training staff. Dennis Flynn doing a great job. Kenny Walker. Superintendent of Norristown, Michael Woodall, Dr. Woodall. Principals Barry Spencer. Of course, the athletic director, Mr. Joe Fabrizio. And the athletic department secretary, Marianne Venezia. All responsible for putting on a wonderful homecoming Saturday game, a hard-fought one here, and we've got 12 minutes of action left, and I'm sure we will not be disappointed because we have not been disappointed all day.
And the only thing that makes homecoming better is when it's a great game. The only thing that makes a great game better is when your team wins. So the combination of all 3 of them would be great for these Norristown fans. And I'm sure everybody will be talking about this Monday. It's just been a great homecoming weekend, one of the most exciting in my 3 years at Norristown.
One piece of that puzzle is yet left to happen, and that would be the score and the win. Swittenberg gets the ball, trying to come across, reverses field, he's in for the touchdown. Great job, Troy Swittenberg, cutting across the field, finding the lane that fires up the Norristown team and the fans. They take the lead 12-10, opening up on the first play of the fourth quarter, Greg.
And there's the line again. There's the line again, blocking for Troy Swittenberg. He went one way, didn't happen. Everybody stayed with their block, so he went the other way, and there it was for a touchdown.
This extra point is going to be an interesting call right here. If you kick the field goal, you're up 13-10. They've had a hard time with the kicking game thus far today. You could go for 2 and make it 14-10 and put the game out of reach if CB East decides that they might want to try a field goal. We do have an Eagle that is on the field.
Well, going back to the extra point decision, I think you got to have confidence, and Matt Spicko has been very good for you this year and is the third best kicker in the area, it says in the paper, and I think you got to go with it. You got to put your team up by 3. I don't believe in coaching scared. I believe in coaching aggressively, and I think coaching aggressively puts you up by 3 points. I don't think you need to look at the mistake. I think you need to look at what he's done for you so far this year. And the special teams has been very good. The blocking's been good, and I think you got to go for it. And Charles Monteleone coming off the field, helped off by athletic trainer Dennis Flynn.
It's good to see Monteleone getting off the field under his own power. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see him later on today. Part of that great Norristown line.
Charles Monteleone, not one of the players that we've seen all year. We've seen a combination of a lot of people. We've seen Pete and Toto on that line and James Davis on that line. But Charles Monteleone doing a nice job today from the Norristown Eagles.
Here goes Matt Spitko under the hold of Chris Blake. This is important. There's a jump right there. Looks like Brian Scott jumped off. They'll make it a little bit closer for Norristown, and it might give Coach Grove food for thought. Maybe, I'm a little closer now. Swittenberg potentially could just sneak through a crack there and dive in, make it 2.
I think with the threats that they have, it's always an option. They appear to just be going for for the extra point, but
looks
who
like they're
knows?
going to stick with the 1-point kick. Spitko lining it up, stepping off his spacing.
I don't think this is a time for the old swinging gate, but
good call,
never
Coach
know.
Fry. The snap is back. They do fake it. Blake throws the ball up. I don't know. I saw a little extra hand on the shoulder right there on Troy Swittenberg's left shoulder if you run that one back in your VCR. Well, it's going to be 12-10.
He was all over him. I think that's an awful call, or an awful non-call. That he was all over Troy Swittenberg, and that's a tough break for the Norristown Eagles. They really need to make sure that they get 1 point there, but I think it's a good play call, but I still think it's just the extra point and get it to 13-10. I think you have to have confidence in that. Unfortunately, that should have been 2 points because Troy Swittenberg was wide open, just grabbed his jersey, just yanked him back, and no call. So CBE's player getting away with that there, and you know, it's always a good decision because if he's going to get 2, why not make him try it again even closer? But why not just make him try it again? Because you may not be as successful as you were the first time. So
well, I don't
a good play, and he got away with it.
Don't want to point fingers over at the Patriots sideline, but for you Norristown Eagle fans, if you want to write letters, you'll have this guy back in your stadium next year. It's Mike Taylor. So keep your eye on him. Number 39 definitely interfered with Swittenberg. Having your quarterback hold for you is a twofold option there. A, he's got great hands probably, and so he'll be able to catch that snap and put the ball down. The other side of that is, in case you want to pull something like Coach Grove just did, you do have that option. Unfortunately, at that point, today, Central Bucks East Patriots were able to do whatever they had to do to prevent that from becoming a 2-point conversion. 11:50 left to go, fourth quarter action. Norristown has taken the lead, 12-10. A spinning kick back into number 89, who is wrestled down.
Number 31, Donovan Palmer, with another good special teams play. We've seen him make a couple there today.
He brought Rob Linders down.
And going back to that decision there on the 2-point conversion, I think Coach Grove also knows that he's got a really good defense, and his defense is
absolutely,
well,
he's got an outstanding defense.
And you gotta have confidence in them. Plus, I think people often overestimate the importance of a field goal in high school football. It's got to be pretty close for you to kick a field goal, so they still have to march a long way.
Swittenberg, Hadley, and Stewart are going to get a workout in the secondary for the Eagles, but a good job up front. You have a host of defensive linemen, linebackers, and the secondary up on that tackle, inclusive of Troy Swittenberg.
And 33,
coming up from his corner spot.
33, James Davis getting out there. Number 78, Doug White getting out there. Doug White, really the MVP of that line today. We've called his name a lot of times, and he has been fired up for this game, and he realizes the importance of it.
Second down and 8 yards to go. 11 minutes, 10 seconds in the fourth quarter. Kreider drops back. He's got plenty of time to pick and choose his receivers. He decides he's going to run. Great job in the secondary. That was a coverage sack. Coming up for Norristown, number 30, Jameel Butler from the linebacker spot, but really a lot of credit to the secondary. Kreider had all day, had no one to throw to.
Mike Ginyard got there first and slowed him down, holding on to his leg. Kreider just escaped. By the time he looked up and realized, oh, I've eluded one man, here comes Jameel Butler from the linebacker position. A huge hit and a great play right there.
Well, as you said, Coach Grove knew he had a strong defense, and right now it's third down and 6 or 7 yards. So East has been unable to do a whole lot with the ball. It'll be interesting to see how they utilize Brian Scott. Right now they've got him wide with Audley Stewart on the far side. Kreider looks the opposite way of the field. He does have Mike Taylor open on this side of the field, trying to wrestle his way up for first down yardage. I don't believe he has it. The Eagles do a great job, and they step up when it counts.
That's a nice play by Trey Hadrick over there covering Mike Taylor. Mike Taylor made the move that everybody makes when you're standing on that sideline. You make a play, you're just about to go out to the sideline, and you cut inside. Oftentimes the cornerback will over-pursue, but Trey Hadrick with a nice job not to over-pursue and to stay on that ball, and a nice play.
Line of scrimmage for the Central Bucks East Patriots is the 35. It is fourth down and long, 4th and 4 yards to go. Timeout on the field. 9:54 left to go in the fourth quarter. Norristown is an injury timeout, actually. Official timeout. 9:54 left to go. 12-10, Norristown has taken charge here in the fourth quarter, and their defense has stepped it up after their offense was able to get on the board.
We have number 66, Yabo Cabal, on the field. Down on the field right now, being attended to. This Norristown offense coming out and getting those 6 points, that may win this game right now. And I think the coaches knew that at halftime. This has pretty much been a defensive struggle. A lot of these games that Norristown's played this year, they've had 21 at halftime. They've had 14 at halftime. Norristown knew that this CBE's team is not going to give up a lot of points. And they knew that the scores that they get are really important. And this has really been a defensive struggle, and the Norristown defense doing a great job of holding East right here. 22
points total scored in the game today, even though Swittenberg has well over 100 yards, and Brian Scott, of course, is having a nice game offensively. East is forced to punt. 2 men deep for the Eagles, Audley Stewart and Edmund. Stewart has a hard time feeling it, but he's able to pick it right back up. Tries to make something out of it. However, it looks like he's going to end up getting the ball to about the 30-yard line of the Eagles. They will start with 9.5 minutes left to go.
Audley Stewart did a nice job of recovering after he fumbled that ball. Not what you want to do in the fourth quarter. And I don't think Audley Stewart would have even gone to the sidelines there in the fourth quarter if CB East had gotten that ball back, because that would have been a devastating mistake. But a good job.
Audley Stewart coming off the field slow. We'll see if the Norristown offense can build on the momentum that they created on the first drive, or the first play actually, of the fourth quarter. Timeout Norristown. They're going to have to burn another one up.
And taking a timeout on first down when you could have been discussing the play on the sidelines, that's just, there's something wrong with that, and it's either the coaching or it's the players not communicating right, but that's a problem that needs to be fixed for Norristown if they're going to even have a chance of going to playoffs this year.
In a nip and tuck game like today, that could boil down to be one of the key areas. And speaking of the rest of the season and postseason, Norristown really does need to hang on to this victory in order to qualify as a District 1 playoff team. And Central Bucks East, if they were to lose today, still would have an outside shot at making the district playoffs. But Norristown, under no uncertain terms, can lose this game and still have any hopes of making it into the postseason.
Well, the discussion around town has been that you have to, if you're going to get in, the first team's going to be undefeated, and that's going to be West. And the second team's got to have 1 loss, and it's got to be the team that beat the other 2 good teams. There are 4 absolutely amazing teams and 4 of the best teams in this state in this Suburban 1 league. And it's one of the toughest to make playoffs from. And Norristown really got to beat East and North Penn to even have a shot of making playoffs.
We are blessed in this area with some great football teams in the state. Blake drops back, 3-step drop over the middle. Once again, CB East, as they've been able to do all day, gets a hand on the ball, knocks it out of the air, and unable to reach the receiver.